Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Joel. So, we are on episode 5 already. I can't believe that we are already at episode 5. And today is definitely going to be a lot different because this time I have more than one guest this time. So, it's going to be a good group conversation on this topic. But before I get into this topic, I want to introduce to you to both of my friends, Deanna and Caitlin. So I met Caitlin almost 10 years ago at this Christian organization called The Basement. And we hit it off, and like so we every time we would see each other, like so we would talk, and there was definitely some great experiences there. And unfortunately, the organization floundered and went away. But we still have kept in contact over the years. And this is actually our first time seeing each other in almost like 8 7 8 years. So it's definitely good to have you on here, Caitlin.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so and then I also have Deanna. I actually met her a little over a month ago when I went to Ireland, and we went uh we met on this travel group agency called EF, and like so we went out there and spent about 7 8 days out there, and I met a bunch of people, a bunch of really friendly, nice people out there, and had a good time. I'm experiencing the culture of Ireland, and Deanna was definitely one of those that like I was always talking to. So I knew that she would be a good, someone good to be on this podcast. So thank you for being here, Deanna.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited about it.
No problem. So, before we get into this topic, and before I tell you what this topic is about, I'm going to have both of my guests introduce themselves. So, I'm going to start with Deanna. So, just let us know your name, where you're from, what you do for work, and all that good stuff.
Awesome. So, my name's Deanna. I'm from New Jersey. I work in the insurance industry. I'm not going to specify what insurance company I work for, but I'm part of their management development program. So, essentially, I'm going through like all the different parts of handling claims through insurance. It's definitely a fun field to be in. I recently took on the role of internship coordinator, so it's been an exciting time. I've been taking care of all the new people who we hope will be soon joining our company if they perform well. And in terms of passions and what I like to do outside of work, I'm really passionate about traveling. Like Joel had mentioned, we met traveling in Ireland. I've been to over 15 different countries, primarily most of Europe, but I have made it over to Africa as well. So, really excited about that and hope to continue my traveling journey as well.
Yes, nice. Yeah, I love traveling. I haven't been to that many countries, but I hope to someday, especially all of Europe. I love Europe so much.
Incredible.
And congratulations, by the way, on your new like role that you've taken on as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been loving and embracing it. It's been bringing like a whole entire new mentality to the office, just like their eagerness, their passion, their readiness to work. So it's been a fun time.
Yes, I'm glad that you've been enjoying it so far. So, up next, I'm going to have Caitlin do the same thing. I want her to tell us where she's from, what she does for work, and then I also know she is a college student, so she's going to tell us where she goes to school and what she is majoring in.
I'm Caitlin. Um, I live in West Blockton, Alabama, very small town. You've never heard of it. I can promise you. A lot of people think that when I say West Blockton, oh, that's in Birmingham, right? Nope, absolutely not. Very small town in central Alabama, but I work at a pharmacy. I'm a pharmacy technician, and I love it. I love my job. I love my patients. I mostly love my coworkers. There's a couple that I kind of scrabble with sometimes, but and I'm in college at the University of Montevallo. I'm an English major with a Spanish minor. I started out as a math minor, thinking that I was going to go into the education field, but God changed my plans, even though I wasn't happy about it. And now I'm a Spanish minor, and I'm looking into. I really want to go into translating for people who
aren't able to speak for themselves, whether it be in a hospital situation or in more of like a social work situation, or even as like a missionary. Like I love the thought of travel. I've never been outside the country before. The closest I've ever been was on a cruise, but there's many places I want to go. Ireland and Scotland both are at the top of my list. So that y'all meeting there was really cool. But I also would like to go. I have a friend who is from London, and she goes and visits her family periodically. And I always tell her that I'm going to go over there with her so that we can go visit Hogwarts. So
Mm.
Love that.
that's
Yeah. That would be really nice to go to London. I've never been to London, so I hope to one day go there as well. I know, Deanna, you've been to London, haven't you?
I have been, and it's incredible. And you're right, like the picturesqueness, London won't remind you of it. But the university, there's two of them. I forget the one off the top of my head that Hogwarts was actually written in and created by. Like the homage you'll see and what you'll feel when you go there is incredible. You'll love it when you experience it.
Oh, I'm going to experience it one day. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
When I go, maybe you can go too.
definitely. I would love that.
That would be a good time, that's for sure. Yeah, because I think when I met you, I didn't realize that you were in a different position. I think when I met you, you were actually working at a gas station, weren't you?
I was. I worked at a gas station in West Blockton for about 8 years. And I loved the people. The hours were hard because it was late night, and my late night customers tended to get a little on the interesting side. But I always had a police officer close me down, so it wasn't like I was ever like threatened or anything. But yeah, it I had been there about 2.5 years, I guess. When a friend of mine from high school, her mom came in the gas station, was like, "There's a pharmacy you need to go apply for." And I've already talked to the boss there about you, so he's just waiting on you to call him to set up an interview. I was like, "Excuse me, what are you even talking about? Like, I've never considered working in a pharmacy." And she was like, "Just trust me." And so I called him, and when I walked in, he was like, "Just so you know, I'm gonna hire you." Like, didn't even look at my resume. Like, he took it from me, but then doodled on it. We sat there about family and how he knew, because he knew all my family, which was interesting. But we talked about family, and we talked about Alabama football, and that was how I was interviewed. It was weird.
That would be such a nice interview, definitely. It would be a lot
It was. No, I had the job, and I didn't even have to worry about it. Like, I walked in, and I was so stressed out, and within 2 seconds, I was like, "Okay, this works. This is where God wants me."
Yeah, that would be an amazing interview. I wish my interview went well like that. It would have been so nice. But yeah, like in case for people, like, well, there is a very good chance you don't know where West Blockton is. It is not far from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which, if you've heard the term Roll Tide, then you
Roll Tide.
know that is where it originates from Tuscaloosa, because the University of Alabama is there. That's where our
Mhm.
football team is, of course, and all the other sporting events. And I said, roll tide is a big word, a big sentence that we use very often. And just about every, like, there's like different ways you can like use roll tide. It's become like a word of its own here in Alabama. And like other people even know about it too. Like in Ireland, as I met somebody from Canada, and she even knew what roll tide was. So she was like,
Uh,
when you yeah, yeah, when you think of Alabama, it's like roll tide. It's like, yep,
mhm.
that's basically it. So yeah, so I think we are going to go ahead and jump into this topic. But before I say that, I'm going to apologize to everybody for my pink face. I went to Atlanta. I am freshly back from there. I went to a Braves game. So if so I'm not shirtless. I'm just kidding. But I said, got a good bit of sun. I did not wear sunscreen. So, well, technically, I'm not sunburned. I have a farmer's tan. So if people want to get technical like that. So anyway, so today our topic is going to be on being alone or loneliness. So this is something that that I definitely can relate to. And I'm sure because both Deanna and Caitlin are on here that they have dealt with loneliness or being alone as well. So I have a few questions for both of them. And, I definitely have some thoughts regarding these questions as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first question is going to be if I can get both of you to share with me a moment or some moments where you have felt isolated or outcasted. And I'm going to start with Caitlin.
Oh goodness. There's really not a time that I think that I've been in a lot of situations where it's like that. Actually, I've always been kind of a loner, which is so weird because like I know when you met me, like I was always hugging everybody and like, I'm a very friendly person, but I do like my time alone. But being isolated tends to happen a lot with coworkers. I struggle with um I guess putting myself out there, putting myself in those situations. Like I stay to myself a lot. And so I tend to be the one that people don't think of when they're wanting to hang out with or when they want to go places or do things. And um, I mean, coworkers, I have some friends that, I find out that they hung out like, oh, that sounds like fun. Oh, we didn't even think that you would like that. It's like, you know, um, the most recent, I think, um, for myself was a friend of mine at church. And she totally didn't mean anything by it. But our whole little, and I don't want to say girls group because it makes it sound kind of like a clique, but our, it's kind of like a Sunday school group. We call them life groups. They were all the ladies were kind of hanging out, and no one thought to let me know. And I was kind of like, but when my friend realized, she was like, I didn't think that you'd want to come, and I was like, just because I don't do well in situations where we're um in a larger group rather than one-on-one doesn't mean I don't want to be invited, doesn't mean I won't come. It just means I won't be as outspoken. So there's definitely been a lot of times like that. People think that because I'm more reserved in big groups, it means that I don't want to be invited to these things and I don't want to be a part of these things. And I do. It's just because I'm quiet doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying myself. And they tend to take it the wrong way.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that for sure. As I've always been the quiet guy as well. Like growing up and like, yeah, just because I may have kept to myself doesn't mean that like I didn't want to have friends. And I think that's kind of like what maybe people viewed it in that way. So like, yeah, I definitely could say honestly that I don't think I had like any friends really until like middle school. And then like it would be weird. Like I would be friends with them, and then like the summer happens, I don't see them. Then like the next school year comes, and then it's like I'm a ghost to them. It's like nothing. It's almost like we were never friends at all. It's almost like who are you, in a way. So it's very weird. So like that definitely happened for me in middle school, and I can really say that like I didn't really have a true friend until I was a freshman in high school. So I met these two people from out of state. They were from Georgia and they moved here to Alabama. So if you're watching, Cliff and Christy, hello, because I still keep up with them. We're not as close as we used to be, only because we're all in different times in our life. Cliff is married with a kid, and Christy keeps busy. Working for the enemy because she works for Pepsi and I work for Coca-Cola. So